Hey, an avocado. Mm. Great. Thanks for joining us at the Pinfall podcast. Tonight we are discussing on this lovely evening of July 6th, we're discussing this evening's Monday Night Raw. And by golly, by God, was tonight an event.
A lot happened. A lot of fights and
A lot of
words.
fights, a lot of things. A lot of stuff that I didn't even really expect, I guess. Um, so going into it, and this will play into exactly what the first tonight was about. Um, Going into it, I had heard that Kairi Sane was not coming back to Raw. I adjust my mic. I had heard that she was not coming back to Raw. I heard that they were trying to write her out with a career-ending injury, unquote. And then Nia Jax beat the writers to the punch by buckle bombing her cranium open. So that was a part of why tonight was such a surprise. Then I heard Mark that somebody was coming back tonight to Raw, so I was like, oh, it's Kairi. And he said, no, it's Heath Slater. And I said, okay, that's different.
I also want to add to what you said about Kairi. Not only did we see her in Raw today, she also tweeted saying, I'm back.
And she will be back again next week. Because it'll come up.
Yeah.
But Mark told me Slater's coming back. So I said, that's okay. I mean, I knew why. It made sense. But it didn't. So off tonight with the one person who should not be allowed to have a microphone of his own volition, Drew McIntyre. Comes out in his Sunday best. The thing is that you can tell that he loves when he has the microphone. He loves being in control of that situation. He's talking about how he wants Dolph to announce the stipulation, and Dolph comes out, says some mean things to Drew, and Drew yells at him in almost an incomprehensible accent. And Dolph is out Heath Slater. I started to be hurt physically.
Yeah.
Heath comes out. He comes out and says, like, oh, well, like, you know, when you were fired, I was there for you. I called you every week or whatever, every day. I don't know. We were best friends because if anyone who's watching this doesn't know, and probably nobody, Heath and Drew and Jinder Mahal were all in the same stable for a while before Drew got fired, and I think Jinder also got fired when Drew did. He's saying, oh, I was there for you constantly, but what happened when I got fired or let go because of the pandemic? Like, where were you? You said that once you won your title, you would immediately petition to have me be the one you fought for it or something. And Heath started crying, and I said, this acting is too good. And it hurts me a little too much. We both thought that that was the stipulation, that it was going to be a handicap match between Dolph and Heath, or between Dolph, Heath, and Drew. No, we still don't know what the stipulation is.
I mean, his reasoning makes sense. Like, he doesn't want Drew to prepare for it.
Right, absolutely. But also, I'm kind of dying to know. And Heath pushes Drew. You just, the softest, most upsetting. Please don't push me. From Drew. I was like, oh, no.
And then Heath slaps the absolute shit out of Drew. Like, my God.
Heath said, I've got 5 minutes out here. I'm making the most of it, baby. And I think it's probably because they're friends. I think that they probably know what each other can take. And frankly, I think I'd be more comfortable slapping a friend directly across the face with all of my force. And like maybe literally anyone else. And so Drew's like, all right, if you want to fight, let's fight. That's pretty much what we're employed to do. So they're both wearing jeans while fighting, and mind you, Heath comes out he came out in like just absolute poster child for acid wash jeans. I felt like I was in the early 2000s for a second, with pants. And Heath immediately got the jump, and for a second I thought, oh, is this happening tonight? Like,
do we have a real match?
It was like early on.
And then Drew said,
a little aggressive.
And then Drew said, no, we don't have a match.
Drew said, I hope that your chin enjoys a sweet French kiss with my boot. Have a good day, Heath.
Say hello to the ground.
And Drew Claymore kicks him into the absolute, like, all the way back to unemployment. And walks away. Drew says, that's that. That was the fight scheduled for tonight. Until Dolph gets in the ring and starts yelling at Heath and starts fighting him. And Drew says, only I get to hit my brother. Back off. We got the sweetest little 3MB reunion.
Minus Jinder.
We're both crying. Huh? Minus Jinder, because Jinder's a broken man right now. I don't think Jinder has legs to walk on, quite literally.
But credit to Dolph for reuniting two friends.
You know, and honestly, at first I was really uncomfortable because I was like, wow, Heath is like he really kind of went in there.
He's making points.
Like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, Drew did get fired, and yeah, there's a lot of stories about how you were there for Drew when he got fired, and yeah, Drew did say that he would want to fight you once he got the title, and yeah, maybe he didn't fight you because he got released. Oh, okay. It was just so sweet to see them reunite, and like, Heath was crying, and maybe he's just like the best actor in the WWE. I don't know. But like, sitting there in the middle of the ring, just tears, and I was like, I'm PMSing, this hurts me.
And then they've been tweeting at each other like ever since that aired. It's just so sweet.
I feel like people Drew was brought up with in Raw, especially, have since been released or injured. I feel like it must be really nice especially because 3MB was one of the biggest things that he ever did, prior to being fired. So I feel like there's got to be something to it where it's like, oh, this is not only my brother, but like my closest friend I grew up in the system with. He's not fighting Sheamus anytime soon, so that's like the only other person I can imagine him being as close to. But it was just, we've had some weird intros recently on every single brand. They knocked this one out of the park, I think. They really came in there and they said, all right, boys, ready to feel something?
It was definitely better done than Christian's reintroduction. Poor Christian. Just had Randy whisper in his ear, groped by an old man.
At least Keith got defended.
Yeah. After being Claymore kicked right into the ground.
Had to take him out back. Yeah, no, the moment like Dolph started fighting, that was like, Drew, come back. Back to us, baby. He did, and I said, yay. I think that just goes to, again, further the argument that Drew's absolutely not losing this title at Extreme Rules. I don't think it would make any sense. He has not only given up the chance to have any leg up in the match by giving Dolph the option to at the stipulation. But also, now we have like this beautifully heroic story of him coming to his essentially brother's aid after Dolph uses him as a pawn. All right. What? It was a well-earned paycheck for Heath. I'm also kind of hoping that this means that maybe there's a chance we'll see Heath again.
I'm sure we will.
Soonish. Soonish. I'll take soonish. I won't take soon. I'll take soonish.
We can actually get Drew on a tag team now that's not with R-Truth.
Imagine. Because Ginger's not coming back until, like, literally probably next year.
Them versus Bobby Lashley and MVP.
No, I want Bobby Lashley and MVP to fade off into the regions for a while.
Or them versus Seth and Murphy.
WWE would never rekindle that, but imagine.
I don't even get why they had that conflict.
Seth, it's his birthright to have that title.
So it was just for the title. Okay.
I don't know why Seth does anything he does. So then we have Bayley and Sasha backstage. And frankly, I'm glad that WWE, or rather Raw, got all of their spoilers out of the way tonight, like in the first 30 minutes. So we had Bayley and Sasha backstage. The referee wants to talk to them. They're like, we don't have time for you. We have to go talk to the world in the middle of the ring, even though it's the same, still broadcasting to the same number of people anyways. And they leave. Asuka comes out and says that I think it was Sarah who was interviewing them, asked, like, are you nervous about facing them alone today? Asuka's like, who said I was alone? And dances away. Because our next match, after Bayley and Sasha showboat for 3 minutes in the ring, Asuka comes out to yell at them. There's Kairi. Now, after the news that I heard, I thought that Asuka wasn't alone because maybe Io was coming, because they kind of teamed up a little bit last Wednesday.
That's what I thought.
No. Shockingly, after I watched, I feel like I should probably know the name of the video or the name of the people that I watched talk about this, because I feel bad talking about their stuff. And they're basically where I get all of my information from. But after watching and stumbling really upon this video where they're like, Kairi's never coming back, all of a sudden Asuka's like, kidding. She's here. So Bayley says, hey, Sasha will fight literally anyone. Just throw anyone at her. It's fine. Sasha's like... And that's when Kairi comes out, and we've got a Sasha versus Kairi fight, which I was absolutely hyped about. Especially because we haven't seen Kairi in...
Since,
while?
Since Nia Jax attacked her backstage.
People that I get most of my information from are called Wrestle Talk on YouTube. Just for the sake of getting my sources here. I've not seen... Sorry. I gotta regroup for a second. I opened my phone up for 5 seconds. I see... But we haven't seen Kairi in a while. It was really exciting to see Kairi in the ring. And kind of as expected, Sasha immediately comes out of the gate during Kairi. We got to see a lot of flying head scissors tonight, and the first one was from Kairi onto Sasha. She then drop kicked her, and it was just a brutal affair for a hot minute.
Yeah, Kairi was pretty brutal.
Was. I think she's had some time to rest. She's had some time to recuperate. She's had some time to get over the concussion that Nia Jax gave her.
She had some time for the stitches to settle in.
Yeah. Her skull is no longer cracked in half. And now she's fighting someone else who's put someone out of commission to a stupid move in the ring. So I'm glad that they're really just Just throwing Kairi to the wind at this point.
Yeah, you mentioned the career-ending injury, then that's how they might have wanted to bring Kairi out. And then I was thinking, like, I guess this is the match. This is where it's done. And I thought, wouldn't be the first career-ending injury Sasha's given out.
Especially not to, it wouldn't be her first member of Kabuki Warriors that she would have earned the career of.
Still don't know how Paige fits in with the Kabuki Warriors, but
I think it was while I was watching the Wrestle Talk video last night that mentioned, because they were talking about Kairi, they mentioned the Kabuki Warriors all together, and then they mentioned the fact that Paige was one of them, and I was like, Asuka, Kairi, where in the world, how in the world does Paige even, unless I could be wrong.
maybe they're
rather,
talking about Paige was a part of Bayley and Sasha.
No, I'm wondering if maybe Paige was manager for Kabuki Warriors.
Kind of like that guy for Indus Share.
Was the manager of Kabuki Warriors. She was
Okay.
their MVP. She was their Paul Heyman, except just considerably more attractive in every respect.
Wow, I don't know.
I feel like a fool.
I don't know. Paul Heyman.
He's a looker, I know. He definitely does it for some people, I'm sure.
Thick.
With Brock Lesnar.
With 2 C's.
Or with a QUE.
No 2 C's.
All right.
If he had hair, it would be QUE.
Oh, so back when he had that long black ponytail?
Oh yeah.
Is that the QUE era?
Yeah. We're now approaching on the CK era. Sorry, Paul.
Well, actually, maybe if the rumors about Brock Lesnar and the speaking out allegations are true, maybe we are entering the CK era. That's a Louis CK joke for you. Horrible. Horrible. Stop assaulting people. Anyways.
Allegedly.
Thank you. We are now covered on legal grounds. Anyways, so we then we got to see a really cool move that I think you really enjoyed, which was Kairi's blockbuster, where she basically ripped Sasha by the neck into the ground.
That was really cool. It's like her own.
Like when these girls would like.
I was gonna say it's her own RKO.
Yeah. It just stresses me out when like these girls with like long hair are fighting, and like anytime like someone like lays a hand on their neck or like up onto their shoulders, I'm like, no. Of course, like as Sasha's like just going around with her like a little shark with a penguin. One of the defining factors of the Kabuki Warriors is that they get tired enough that they kind of get Dexter Lumis-y and get like a little kooky. And Kairi's just like stomping around the ring, like these nice little high steps. I was like, all right, sure. And eventually, Sane avoids a jump from Sasha from the top rope and has her by the legs, but Bayley interferes, getting the DQ. And Banks and Bayley end up outside of the ring. Asuka gets attacked by them. She's trying to fend off with them while Kairi is just dead on the canvas. And while she's doing so, Kairi jumps from the top rope onto both of the women in a way that looked like she may have ended them as humans. They were alive because we saw them later.
Or did we?
Never seen Paul Heyman and Bayley in the same room, have you?
Stop.
But yeah, so got that. That was something. It was nice to get to see Kairi come back in such a big way. Defeat, because it technically was a DQ match. Defeat Bayley and Sasha, who are technically the most prolific lady wrestlers in this moment that are not taking time off for a shoulder injury, quote unquote.
Are you referring to Ronda Rousey or Charlotte
Flair? Actually,
yeah.
I don't refer to Ronda Rousey ever. Please never make that mistake.
You see, I just knew that Charlotte Flair was not up for injury, so that's why she wasn't the first that came to mind.
That's why I said the quote unquote. You ever think I'm referring to Ronda Rousey? I'm not. Even if she's in a match, I'm not referring to her.
Even when you say her name, not referring to her.
Definitely not referring to her. I would never. Wouldn't bring it down to that. I heard a story that she wrote her lines on her arm, like, for a promo or something. Besides the point. Just want to bring that up. Anyways, so then we have a recap of last week's Alistair versus Umberto match, and we got some interesting news, sort of, kind of, maybe, not really news. Rey Mysterio's contract is currently expired. He's still working for the WWE. I guess it just means that he can say, sayonara, I'm heading out, I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
Dominic, enjoy him.
He's not,
whenever he wants.
He's not legally binded.
Right. That's... I feel like I just got back together with, like, my boyfriend, and, like, we aren't really sure what's gonna happen now. Because I thought he was retiring, and now he's not, but now maybe he is.
I mean, like you said earlier, Drew Gulak's contract expired, and they were just renegotiating his pay.
I think... we'll come back to this. Back to this. Because there's something exciting I'm excited about. So after our recap, we find that Buddy and Seth have brutally concussed Alistair while shoving him into a Rey Mysterio mask.
I just saw like this giant girder on top of this guy in Rey Mysterio's mask, and I was like, did they just kill Rey Mysterio backstage? And then I realized that he's wearing like Alistair's vest, and I was really confused that they would just cut to the aftermath and not show anything before that.
It was like, the thing is, I noticed, I was like, those legs are way too long for Rey Mysterio's. Also, those arms are way too skinny to be Rey Mysterio's. So, something weird has happened. And who else dresses like a little goth crow other than Aleister Black?
Seth Rollins.
Actually, yeah.
Ruby Rose. Or Ruby Riott.
Ruby Riott?
Not Ruby Rose. I don't know who Ruby Rose is.
Isn't she an actor?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. She's like... what's her name? She's like the Rhea Ripley of acting.
The Rhea Ripley of acting?
Yeah, like, you know Rhea Ripley? If you look up Ruby Rose, you'll see that they look kind of similar.
Why am I blanking?
They both look good bald because they're really hot. Looking her up right now.
Yes, I am. Oh, okay. I know who she is.
Yeah, she kind of like looks like Ruby.
She was Batwoman. She was Batwoman. Who's Rhea Ripley?
Yeah.
Oh, that... Okay.
Who's Rhea Ripley?
My mind blanked, like, for, like, half of my memory just went in that 5 seconds. I forgot what my name was in those 5 seconds.
Aleister Black.
Oh, except the girder didn't fall on my head.
Oh, you have no excuse.
Yeah. Just the dementia.
Mark. Anyways, before we hurt more people's feelings, so at this point, actually, I think it was during the Sasha fight, it was announced that we were going to see the KO show with Seth.
Mm-hmm.
So bear that in mind. After the Buddy and Seth brutally attacking Alistair, had Viking Raiders and Big Show backstage. Big Show, who was very clearly wearing some form of face mask prior because he had it wrapped around his neck. So I have total respect for that because, oh my god, the WWE is a breeding ground for coronavirus at this point. It is horrifying. Shout out to the guy who pulled off his mask twice and Mark hates because he's really annoying behind the plexiglass. I cannot stand you, sir. no matter how attractive and buff you are.
No, I've not heard from any fans that like him in any way. He's just a showboat. He's annoying.
Do people talk about him? I've only ever heard you talk about him.
I've I've seen comments on Reddit where people really dislike him for being so much of a showboat.
I didn't notice that he was annoying until you pointed out that he was annoying. And ever since then, anytime anyone comes out, I'm like, dude, you gotta chill. He seems like the guy at the bar that like hasn't had more than like a single drink, but like is off his ass, like in a different dimension of just like 5 seconds from being kicked out by a bouncer.
Like if he's standing by the ramp, and somebody's doing their walk-in, he will be slamming on the window, trying to like get their attention or the camera's attention. Normally, whenever he's on camera, it's just obnoxious.
Well, I mean, maybe feel good about something, because if he's a trainee, then that might mean that he will be used as enhancement talent at some point. So you might actually get to see him get his ass beat in within like 2 seconds.
No,
so,
he's not skinny enough. Crossed. He's not skinny.
I mean, if he has to go against like someone like Indus Sher on his own,
or Sheamus.
Anyways, one day we'll learn his name, and then we'll really be able to talk crap. I feel like that I censored myself. We had Viking Raiders and Big Show backstage. Ivar was trying to teach Eric how to bowl, which I thought was very sweet, even though I think they kind of both proved that they sort of knew how to. Actually, they proved that they didn't know how to bowl, so I don't know where Ivar was getting the ability to teach him anything. And they offered to teach Big Show how to bowl. Big Show says there's absolutely no time for this ridiculous banter. He slaps both Eric and Ivar in the chest, which still terrifies me, and says, basically, tighten it up, put it together. You have to fight Randy Orton. I really don't want to do that tonight. I'm hoping that if they ever create a stable with them, they will be the Scary Beard Boys.
The Scary
Beard preference.
Boys.
I made that note, and I wanted to bring it up because they're a little scary. Also, congratulations to Eric, because his girlfriend, who's also a WWE wrestler, or was a WWE wrestler, has a name that I definitely know and have forgotten in this very moment. She announced that she is pregnant. I think that's very exciting for him. I'm happy for him. I wish I remember this poor girl's name.
And I also found
Logan.
I also found out that Eric's real name is Raymond.
Nice.
And I feel very weird about it.
Congratulations to Raymond and Sarah Logan, because Sarah Logan, first of all, very awesome name. Definitely sounds like a superhero. They are pregnant, and she is pregnant, and he is and to the most insensitive terms possible. And Vince McMahon should be happy, because Sarah Logan's not currently wrestling for him, and so it's not like he's like losing another Becky Lynch for him. After this, we had after that promo with the Viking Raiders and show, we had the KO show featuring Mr. Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens comes out, decides that they had 3 like executive chairs in the middle of the ring. Kevin decides that they don't need them, considering the guests for the evening.
And he broke 2 of them, tossing them out of the ring.
Throws them out, and just in the sweetest little Canadian voice, he's like, "Oh, broke that one. Oh, broke another one." He calls Seth a pretty big giant piece of trash. And Seth comes out, thinks that the exodus of chairs was a bit excessive. And he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything bad. I'm Seth Rollins. I'm a nice boy." Nice. Someone shouted in the middle of that, and they're like, "You suck." And Kevin Owens just turns around and he's like, "Aw, she's right. You do suck." I love Kevin Owens so much.
He's perfect.
I wish that he got more opportunities to do literally anything. But um, Kevin also came out holding something, and we couldn't figure out what it was. At first, I thought he was wearing pants, like long pants. I thought, oh, he's wearing he's holding his knee braces. He's definitely fighting someone. And then you pointed out that they might be pants. And then we found out that he was holding a shirt for Seth. And it was the shirt that he was wearing when he beat Seth at WrestleMania. So Seth takes the shirt, throws it at Buddy, calls it a good day. Says that he's not there, Kevin. He was there to talk to Rey. And boy, did I lose my mind after either a week or 2 weeks of this. Trying for this to happen. Seth finally challenged Rey a match at Extreme Rules. And I said, yes, please. I have been dying for this moment.
Yeah, you were right. I was wrong. I thought they were not going to take it to Extreme Rules or any pay-per-view event, and you were right. Also, I found the guy's name.
Did you? Oh, God. I sound like a trail for this man now.
No, I just went on the Wikipedia roster for WWE. His name is Rick Buggs.
Buggs! Okay. That makes sense, because I thought, again, getting most of my news information from with the Wrestle Talk video, I thought they said Rick Bude, which if you search Rick Bude, B-U-D-E, get Rick Rude, which is not who I'm looking for. So we'll look into that later. What's his sign? On his birthday?
He doesn't really. Let's see.
I must know.
Date of birth 1987. That's all it says.
It's not helpful. All right. Well, we'll get back to this. 32. Oh God. Let's see. There's nothing about his birthday. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I will. It's probably a Gemini. It'd shock me. Looking up, look at my little Gemini earrings in honor of Drew McIntyre. And me.
And Seth Rollins.
Actually, fun fact.
And Bayley.
Oh, Bayley's not a Gemini.
She's not? I thought she was.
No. Fun fact for anyone who's watching and has put up with it to this point. Tell me if anyone has or not. I'm a Gemini. My birthday is May 22nd. I'm part of the elite club of May Geminis. Something to say? I can get through this really quick, or I can get through this really slow.
Anyway, let's move on to the next part.
So I'm a Gemini. Seth is a Gemini. Drew is a Gemini, and yes, as you just said, Billy is a Gemini.
Told you.
So is Bray Wyatt, and so is Daniel Bryan. I'm pretty sure we're birthday twins. So, my absolute hero. Yeah, Daniel Bryan and I are birthday twins. Hang on. The point. So Seth challenges Rey to Extreme Rules. I'm super hyped about this. But Owens opens his big mouth and says, Seth mentioned that, like, oh, you know, I murdered Alistair backstage, and he was supposed to be your tag team partner tonight against me and Buddy. You have no one to fight with. And I said, oh, he'll fight with Dominic. And Kevin said, no, it'll be me. I'll do it. Yeah. Love Rey. So Rey says, oh, thank you. And then Kevin, as I said, opens his big mouth and says, imagine if the winner of this match gets to choose the stipulation of Extreme Rules. Which isn't great.
But now it is. Well, yeah, no.
According to the faces of Byron, Kevin, Alistair, and Samoa Joe, and Tom Phillips, maybe not. but we'll go on. Um, so Seth, I guess, agrees essentially, and then Murphy attacks Kevin Owens. Ray jumps in. Kevin Owens throws a sign at Seth, and Dom just sits in the corner. And that brings us to our Rey Mysterio, Kevin Owens versus Seth and Buddy fight.
Kind of an unexpected team up, in my opinion.
Yeah. I wanted to see Alistair. And I did see Alistair. Also, like, an exceptional fight.
Yeah, definitely.
My brain got scrambled for most of it. Right out of the gate, like right away, just says, "Here's a crossbody slam," and just hurts poor Buddy. Hurts him so bad. It was pretty early on that Buddy started looking worse for wear, if you will.
He got bullied.
Ooh, not want to be Mr. Murphy tonight. He was subjected to 2 flying head scissors. He was crossbody slammed twice.
He was flying head scissors into the wall head first. And then
Actually,
he also had his head slammed into the turnbuckle.
yeah. Well, no, that was his I know that at one point he got flying head scissored 3 times, because one time was technically more of his shoulder went into the post. And funny enough, didn't bleed everywhere. It's interesting how that happened. Just gonna say, in regards to last week. Anyways,
Bobby.
Oh, Bobby. Anyways, his ear looked great tonight.
Or did it?
And I can't really look at it, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, Kevin Owens, put in the work after Ray, and clotheslines Murphy into absolutely oblivion. It really didn't turn around until Rollins got in the ring. Even then, I think the most that Seth really did tonight was targeted Kevin's knee, which is weird because Kevin broke his ankle. Everyone's been targeting his knee lately, so I'm wondering if that's like where the real injury is.
He's gonna have a metal knee soon, and then everyone else will be in pain.
Yeah, honestly, maybe that'll do him some good. And Rollins and Murphy went to go jump onto Ray from the ropes and got distracted by Dom trying to cheer his dad on. He goes after him with Seth, and Seth jams his thumb into Dom's eye, which, in the age of Corona, I would suggest against doing.
In this economy?
Then is like just blinking up a storm because his poor face.
He was actually like, wait, Seth, you actually like really hurt my eye.
Seth, I think my eye is actually dislodged. Someone help.
My contacts. Where are my contacts?
He's just half blind for the rest of the match.
Seth just has like a dried out contact on his thumb through the whole fight.
Then Kevin Owens is still in, and he sees, like, he's fighting Seth, but he sees Murphy on the ropes, and he's like, I'm gonna punch Murphy. And Seth, an opportunity to just punch him to death. No, he's standing in the ring, and I'm like, what's the point? I don't get it. Finally, Ray gets in the ring. Again, bullies Murphy. Rightfully so. Decides, hey, this is one thing that'll distract Ray. Tries to attack Dominic by taking him by the chin, pulling him out. And in his concussed state, Aleister Black just marches on out, and Seth kneels before him.
Just wobbles down the ramp.
Just like,
like a drunk old man.
Um,
Points at Rey. Seth.
this is the new storyline. Alistair's head is just so scrambled now. He's just like he sees Rey. He's like, I don't know why. Anyway, so, Alistair comes out. Can't see straight probably because again something very heavy has fallen on him. Okay, in there.
Yeah, I just keep hearing something tapping the light. It's weird.
That's me.
Okay.
Alistair comes out. Seth kneels before him. It was weird, kind of simpy, kind of cute. Write a fan fiction later. Who's to say? And then Dominic, in the heat of the moment, decides, you know what? I'm going to take Buddy's eye and gouges his eye with his fingers. Which, you know, at least Seth has a glove on one hand. Dominic had no gloves on.
Can we stop with the eyes,
I
please?
would like to see us stop with the eyes.
But then Rey said, no more.
By that we mean no, comma, more. Because Rey 619's Murphy, pins him, wins. Murphy is just blinded at this point. And Rey says, hey guys, I've thought of a fun little stipulation, which we probably all should have seen coming, but whatever. He says, an eye for an eye. Whoever wins gets to take the other person's eye. Mind you, Rey says this. The cameras cut to several different shots. The first being of Kevin Owens, while Rey is talking about the sitting on the ropes, like with his head on the rope, like. And then we get Alistair, who looks confused. Then announcers sound like they've just watched someone get murdered in the ring.
Seth was just like,
Because
he was like, does Rey know that I didn't actually take his eye?
like Seth's face was just like, no. And like the announcers were genuinely like just so quiet afterwards, like, okay, so I guess Rey wants to take Seth's eye. And Byron's just sitting there like,
at Extreme Rules on the ring, there's just like a rolled out cloth that has like a scalpel, like a little spoon,
stop.
pliers.
No. I just like, you know, I don't mess with eye stuff for movies. I guess wrestling, I don't like eye stuff. I could never get into wearing contacts because I couldn't touch my own eyes. Which is why I have to squint for all my notes because I take my glasses off to do this. This makes me, I was so excited when Seth was like, I'm challenging Rey to a fight. I was like, yes! And then Rey was like, take your eyes. I was like, no! Now I don't want to watch it!
Yeah, because we were like, oh, Seth and Buddy have to win because the stipulation's got to be like something crazy that only, you know, heels would want to do. And then Rey said, no, I am the heel now.
I'm so internally repulsed by it. On top of that, it's like, there's no way Rey, unless this is like Rey's path to retirement now, there's no way they're gonna be like, oh, Seth wins, Rey loses both of his eyes. He's now the blind wrestler. There's no way.
Or Seth wins and is the bigger man and has a turn and says, no, I'm not gonna take your eye.
It's like, there's only two ways that I could see this ending without me wanting to cry. And that's either Rey loses his other eye and somehow retires because of that, and that's why he hasn't renewed his contract, or Seth turns face and somehow, I don't know. I'm queasy thinking about it. I don't want to watch this now. I'm uncomfortable. I was so excited. And then Rey said, give me your eyes. And I said, no. Emma Robbie was wrong with this one, buddy.
Next week, they announce that the fight is also at the Wyatt Swamp.
Next week, they announce, hey, Rey was wrong. That is not the stipulation. We genuinely cannot do that.
It's actually just a cage match.
The fact that, like, Bertha wasn't there, but, like, Alistair just comes out. Alistair just comes out to be, like, the muscle of it all. Why are we here, guys? What are we doing tonight?
You just see Alistair, like, slowly start backtracking backstage.
I did not ask for this. Some people have actually said, though, that, like, it's kind of upsetting how they've changed Alistair's trajectory, I guess, into being, like, a white knight for Rey.
I mean,
I don't know. I've been, like, enjoying watching him fight, so it doesn't really bother me that much.
Yeah, he's a pal. Like, Drew would probably do the same to Heath.
Yeah. And also, I think something that, like, they have, like, a really good option for Alistair, because Alistair and Drew have ICW history against each other. Once this is all over, Alistair can fight whoever he wants and win. Also, would love to see him against Andrade and Angel, just for the fact that he and Zelina are married, and I want to see how that happens.
Would love to see a tag team.
I'm interested.
Alistair and Rey, for once, because we didn't get that today. Shall we move on, or do you want to talk about more of the fight? More of the stipulation. We are.
Seth said.
We're 15 minutes in.
Don't remind me of I don't want to hear. We had a recap of Lashley and MVP versus Apollo. Then had MVP and Lashley backstage talking about how much they think Apollo's a puss. Yes, I don't know. And then they come out, and MVP announced, or I don't actually, MVP didn't announce. It's announced that MVP and Apollo Crews are now fighting at Extreme Rules. So that's another thing to put on the docket, which I gotta, like, space in my head for all the stuff. Keep, like, announcing every single thing that's happening. I'm just like,
I want to see MVP's the one who makes the stipulation, and he's like, I'm gonna make it a handicap match. Bobby, join me. And then Apollo just gets destroyed.
Mean. Yeah, no, he unveils the belt that assumes he'll be wearing after the match, the new United States Championship belt,
which is very clean.
Bobby, it's nice. It's a nice new belt.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby founds him. You know, I'm glad to see at least, like, Bobby supporting his manager. I guess, I don't know. I don't like either of them. Different reasons.
They are heels.
Mostly, I hate MVP. MVP. I feel like I'm watching, like, bad. Probably time catches up to all of us.
What happened to me?
I'm gonna get that from MVP in a couple years, and it's gonna be like, well, you teamed up with Bobby Lashley, bud. That's what happened.
We're gonna get that from Bobby, and we're gonna be like, you took a ton of steroids. Allegedly.
Got it. Allegedly. Absolutely. So Ricochet and Cedric come out because they got murdered last week by Bobby in his full Nelson glory. They compliment the belt before saying, like, hey, you hurt our friend. And I said, camaraderie? This is the camaraderie episode of Raw. I love it. I love long lost pals returning for each other. It brings my soul joy. They attack Bobby. Ricochet basically parkours off of Bobby's chest because it's just that tense. And then gets a double drop kick from my two lads. And that leads us into an MVP and Bobby Lashley versus Cedric and Ricochet fight, which was ill-fated from the start.
Yeah.
I mean, if last week was any indication, MVP, first of all, was fighting in a dress shirt and slacks, which anyone else was going to turn on, and also like hey, that's not a way to win a fight, but sure. Cedric's a fast little thing, but Bobby immediately angles the poor kid. And I say kid, even though he is poor cat. I say kid, but he's 6 years older than me. Like, so many notes for this, but ultimately the point is that Bobby Lashley decimates both Cedric and then decimates Ricochet. VP tosses Ricochet all the way around like the outside of the ring. And I think the best moment was Cedric got in finally and baseball slid into Lashley and then DDTs him. Then DDTs MVP. Like an absolute god among men. But then after that, it's just
it was
Lashley attacks him.
Very one-sided.
Yeah, and that's the thing that like I haven't shown any cracks in Bobby Lashley's armor, and that's I think what makes me not like him as much because like all you have to do is tag Bobby in, and suddenly he's full Nelsoning your opponent. And it's like, oh, okay.
But that's why the fight against Drew was so good. Until Lana came out. She was the crack in the armor.
Actually, yeah, that's true. But now Lana's not even there, so it's like, what is it? I think the only crack in the armor at this point is MVP, and MVP hasn't proven himself to be a crack in the armor. So
I'm sure Apollo's gonna have his day and take down Bobby at one point.
Yeah, I mean, interested to see how the Extreme Rules fight's gonna go. Even then, that's not against Bobby.
Yeah.
MVP. And MVP has enough cracks in his armor. He's older and cocky. But Bobby's like, even if Bobby's cocky, Bobby's built like a brick house. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean Lashley spears Cedric and pins him to win. Nelson's him because
that's his thing.
As I wrote, what's a cake without the icing? And that's basically Bobby Lashley's icing because he can't not do it. Thank God for Ricochet, who comes to his senses and drop kicks the monster and pulls Cedric to safety.
The full Nelson is how Bobby can like release the leftover steroids from his muscles. Like they just kind of like secrete out with his sweat.
That's why he had to cut his ear last week.
Yeah, he had to let out some.
Too much. It wasn't coming out, you know?
God. Shall we move on to the next moment?
Trucking, because I could talk all night. I was like the one night where like I could just keep going. I could make this 4 hours, and I would. That's why I have Mark. I think I introduced you tonight.
You did not. We just jumped right into it.
I didn't say my name either. Who knows who we are anymore? And we had Zelina and Andrade and Angel backstage, and out of absolutely nowhere, Ric Flair just jumps up.
It's horrifying.
My personal nightmare.
It's like seeing just an old man pop around a corner.
Oh God! He just like was like, it's like, oh no.
Creepy old man coming backstage.
I don't know what's happening with Andrade's outfits because he used to come out in like these like fancy like capes or whatever. I don't really know how to describe it, but like,
do you want the honest answer? Probably just got too hot.
Maybe. Now he's just walking out in a t-shirt. Buddy, you were so fashionable. Bad. Yeah, Ric Flair out of absolutely nowhere. And then in addition to that, Randy Orton out of absolutely nowhere. The camera just pans over and he's like, "Hi."
RKO
Like,
out of nowhere.
"Ooh, that's cute, but like no." And basically says like, "Hey, I know you guys have been having your issues, and that's cool. If you mess this up for me, I'll kill you personally." Um, no. Then had Spooky Warriors backstage. I have no clue what they were saying.
Whoa, wait! You missed a huge part. You missed a huge part of that last promo. When R-Truth just ran through.
That
Was that not that promo?
that was later.
Oh,
That was after the fight.
My bad.
My notes are organized, you silly man.
That was after that fight. I thought that was before. Oh, wow, okay. All right. My bad.
Anyway. We had Kabuki Warriors backstage. As I was saying, I didn't know what they were saying. But I respect the sentiment. I respected the emotion. Kyrie had her recorder. So that was great. I was happy for her for that. And they are now challenging Bayley and Sasha to a tag team match next Sunday, which means we will get more Kyrie Sane in the coming week. I'm excited about that. I'm happy to see her back. I know that we probably only have her for a limited time. And I feel like now that I know that the WWE was trying to write her out on a career-ending injury, it makes me nervous for every fight she's in.
Yeah. But they might be trying to do something else now. Because I'm sure once they, like, release their path for somebody, they might want to go a different route.
Yeah. That's fair. After that promo, we had Big Show and the Viking Raiders versus Andrade, Angel Garza, and Randy Orton.
Very shocking fight.
Angel and Garza and Orton. Big Show would say.
Or Andrade.
Or Andrade. Angel is immediately the first one in. Randy looked like he was going to be, but Randy was like, oh. He just slunk out like a little freak. Big Show slaps Angel's spine to the front of his chest and then all the way back out of his, or back out like through him. He got brutalized a little bit by Show.
He was bullied just like Murphy was, except worse because he was bullied by three people.
His chest pretty much looked like Murphy's hair by the end of it.
Yeah, honestly.
Angel just looked like he was like seeing God for the first time as Show was knocking him around. Andrade got in, Angel interfered, and Andrade yelled at him. Then Ivar, I don't even know how this happened. This was a pretty messy fight. Basically, Andrade had a cover, I think, on Eric. Was trying to pin him. Angel interfered, so Andrade yelled at him. And Randy Orton says, "Nope, we're not doing this today," and yells at Angel to get out of the ring, choke slams him into the plexiglass, and says, "Put together, I'm not dealing with this."
We also saw...
They have 2 children.
We also saw Dexter Lumis in the background.
Yes, we did. He was learning. I didn't like that he was in the... I'm hoping that he was in the crowd the whole time and not just for Randy Orton's fight, because I don't want him learning from Randy Orton. I don't want him to start moving like him.
I was going to say he was learning from Randy Orton.
Honestly, Randy's the Viper. If he wants to learn anything, he should be learning from Dexter Lumis, who slithers across the ring like a freak. So, let's see who's the teacher here. Just like... Randy Orton yelling at Angel reminded me of any time I was like on like a team sport. My coaches got mad at us for hating each other because we were children. I was like, get out here. Have like war flashbacks.
Do you want to talk real quick? You okay?
That seemed to be the thing that the boys needed to work together, because they started kind of like tagging each other in like a tag team do. Um, and while the ref was distracted because Randy was kind of taunting the show, Randy punched Eric in the face. Show got tagged in, scaring Angel. He gets Andrade tagged in, who goes to punch Show, and Show just throws him out. Basically, he's just like, "No, it's not gonna happen." Sorry. Keith Randall jumps in, and Show throws him out too because Show's like, "Also, not doing this right now. I just need to prove that I'm better than you." It doesn't work because Andrade jumps in, chokes Show for a little bit. It doesn't really do much. Show throws him. Randy tags himself in and RKO's Eric into absolutely, like, maybe next year when the pandemic's not happening. And that's that. That's that on that. That's basically it.
You know, the fight wasn't even that interesting for me. It was more so Randy on the sidelines, what he does with Angel, and then the little sneak play that he does. But the fight itself was especially with such big players.
Wasn't much. It was good to see Randy again. It was good to see Show again. But to not them fight each other, I get a funny little twinge in my soul.
Extreme Rules.
I get a funny feeling that maybe there's a reason they're bringing back Randy Orton again and creating this rivalry with Big Show. It's like they can't perform in front of people now because they've canceled the show in Boston and are doing it in the Performance Center, and like,
you know,
I'm not dumb.
They haven't announced their, like, Randy is the biggest name they have in WWE currently wrestling. I mean, besides Ric Flair, who only just gropes people now. You're not going to have a pay-per-view fight and not have the biggest name in your entire roster. So they got to have Randy Orton and Big Show do something. I would love to see that at a pay-per-view.
Yeah, at this point, I think that the main event would be Drew versus Dolph. So I don't know where they're going, but I just get a feeling, honestly, that that's where that's headed.
Actually, just one small thing. I disagree with you on Drew and Dolph being the main event, because I think the past few episodes, everything with Bayley and Sasha has been the main event fight of that episode. Even tonight, it was Bayley versus Asuka. I think the whole Sasha and Asuka fight, that's like the main event fight right now. Unless you throw in Randy Orton.
Let's see. I don't know. I don't think the WWE would really do that. Unless something special comes from everything. Considering Asuka was a pretty big person to start with, and her fight with Nia Jax was not main event at Backlash. Which, to be fair, main event at Backlash was obviously Randy and Edge.
Yeah.
But that being said, the runner-up to that main event was Drew and Bobby. I'm going to make a comment here on, like, the fact that I don't think that the WWE would make women the main event.
They did at NXT TakeOver.
It's NXT. It was Charlotte Flair. So, I'm just saying. I have vibes. I have feelings. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying I agree with these things, but anyways. We have Peyton and Billy backstage after that match. Saying kind of mean stuff. I haven't skipped over anything yet.
No, I was going to say this is probably my favorite promo.
Oh. We have Peyton and Billy backstage. They're saying kind of mean stuff about Ruby, who appears behind Billy as Billy is saying thing. And Ruby calls them both dumbasses incredibly casually and says, I'm going to destroy you in the ring. because that's what Ruby does, and God forbid she lives up to her word. Ever.
Yeah.
All. Any moment. We then awkwardly pan over to, because like Peyton and Billy walk away, and then we pan over to MVP and Cedric watching them walk away.
They were just there the whole time, just sitting on the ring. Like they weren't
like,
talking at all.
Could have been more than like 3 meters away from them, just like,
or cut to somewhere else backstage. They don't need to be right there. Why
this
are
is
they?
the second time they've done this though. Did this last week with MVP and Bobby and Seth and Buddy. And like Buddy and Seth were just like awkwardly staring at the mask like and MVP and Cedric are talking because like Cedric's injured as hell. And MVP's trying to convince him to like join his side of things, and that like do like a weird promo for the fact that I guess Ricochet has like a new WWE 360 documentary on the WWE network. And MVP mentions us like, well, you don't have that, so why are you trying to be like Ricochet's lackey? And I personally want to jump through the TV screen and just be like, leave him alone. That's my sweet boy. You don't go near him.
It's like watching your best friend fall prey to a pyramid scheme.
Like when you're like at a bar and like you all of a sudden like see this guy that you've been like looking at your peripheral like, oh, he's a creep. Up to your best friend and you're like, nope, no. Back away. That happened. It was definitely just for the promo for the documentary. But I don't want to see Cedric leave Ricochet. I think that they're best friends.
Yeah, they're not gonna leave each other. That's never gonna happen. Not anytime soon.
And then after that, we have Randy and Ric Flair backstage, as you mentioned prior.
Yes.
Ric Flair's absolutely incensed for Randy's victory. R-Truth just comes out of nowhere, bumping into them, accuses Ric Flair of being Tozawa, and runs away. Then the ninjas finally catch up to Rick and Randy. And Randy kindly puts them in the opposite direction of R-Truth. So, like, maybe he is a good guy?
Randy, R-Truth, tag team.
You think Randy would be able to put up with that? Drew McIntyre was barely able to put up with that.
Listen, I think Randy's got a lot of patience. I want to see
He definitely didn't choke slam one of his partners tonight.
I want to see Randy and Pretty Ricky in the ring together fighting Tozawa and Big Show. That's a perfect matchup. Or replace Big Show with Edge.
I was gonna say, because Big Show definitely helped R-Truth against the ninjas.
Yeah.
No, he helped the Viking Raiders, but one way or another, he was fighting against the ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we are going to see something pertaining to this at Extreme Rules, like in just like a stupid cutscene or something. I don't know.
Oh, I hope.
But, after that kind of endearing move, we had Ruby versus Billy Kay. Barely a match. Billy taunted Ruby. Ruby stomped on Peyton's hand as Peyton was like kind of like hollering to her from the side of the ring. Really the most exciting part of tonight was that Ruby Riot's extensions that were definitely just clip-ins and were not properly placed came out. So all of a sudden, Ruby, who came out with like somewhat longer hair is now down to like her calf, and we're just both sitting there like, that's got something happened here.
It took a second to register. Like, I felt so bad for her. Like, that's so embarrassing.
It is. It's just like, at the very least, like, it's not like her fault.
Yeah.
It's the hairstylist's fault, but like, imagine being the hairstylist and watching them being like, bad job there. Oh. But it was a quick fight. Billy rolled her up and pins her. I don't know why we're doing this. It's so uncomfortable watching Ruby talk smack to these two girls and then get absolutely destroyed in the ring. It feels bad.
I guarantee she's going to team up with Liv, and they're going to do a tag team against the Iconics, and they're going to get their revenge.
All right. You make a point. You make 1 or 2 points. After that, I guess you could call it, Bayley and Sasha backstage saying that they're not worried about next week. Bayley apparently had not accepted Asuka's tag team match offer. Sasha kindly does it for her, which, you know what? Fine. Bayley's accepted enough matches on behalf of Sasha. Let Sasha have the moment here. And then Bayley versus Asuka starts. Nikki comes to the announcer's booth. The security is trying to throw her out, but Tom Phillips is like, no, she's our friend. Don't worry about it. But the moment that Bayley comes out, Nikki wants to murder her in the coldest, bloodiest way possible, I think. Sojo has to hold her back. And Bayley gets a leg up kind of in the beginning. And you consider the fact that the whole point was that, like, Bayley was doing this for Asuka's title. And Bayley would then have to fight 2 fights at Extreme Rules. It was kind of obvious that Asuka was going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a fight that was worth having. It just felt like a fight that was, like, had to have a fight. And there were a couple moments where I was like, oh, it actually kind of looks like Bayley's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Confusing for me. I guess maybe good job to the writers on that one, because, like, in spite of, like, my knowledge prior to, I was confused, but it didn't mean anything. Bayley obviously lost. I
mean,
don't know why they keep doing this. I'm sorry.
This is my favorite Bayley that we've ever seen. I enjoyed watching her so much in this match. I know, shocking, but I thought when she started using the ropes, like, to bounce Asuka off of them, to, like, slam her throat into the upper one, that was really creative and cool. And I feel like Bayley managed to do what a lot of wrestlers don't do, and that's sort of create her own beats in the fight. Randy Orton and Angel did it in their fight. And Bayley did it a lot in this fight by like, sitting down at the desk and doing a little talking on the headset. I think she had a little moment with Nikki too. So, like, it was more than just wrestling in that fight. And I really appreciate that when they can work, like, story and these character beats into it, rather than just be, okay, it's just punching back and forth, it's throwing, it's pinning and kicking out. It's nice when they throw in some character moments.
I come to the promos for the story. I come to the fight for the. It kind of annoyed me that there were so many, like. It felt like they had to fill. I mean, this fight started at 10:33, I think. It felt like they just had to fill 30 minutes of time, and Bayley was like, "Well, don't really know what to do here," so she decided to take a seat at the announcer's booth. There was so much interference. There was so much extra stuff happening on the side that, like, it wasn't a fight for the sake of, like, the actual fight. It was a fight that we knew how it was going to end. It was a fight that didn't lend anything to, like, the actual Bayley and Sasha storyline, which is the storyline I want to hear about.
I know. Don't get
yeah,
me,
they hate Asuka.
don't get me wrong. The fight, like, there was kind of no point to it other than to have Nikki hate Bayley and Sasha more. Have Asuka have like sort of just amp her up a little bit. But with that said, I liked watching Bayley today. She was better than she's been in all the other fights that we've seen her. She did more than just flail her arms around like she did it at the last SmackDown or the one before that.
Also, I guess I have problems with like stuff happening on the ropes because like technically those moves aren't legal, and I prefer the move that's going to weaken the opponent to be a move that's like something that they're like actually allowed to do. Yes. So I don't know. I had my trouble with this fight because there was a lot of extraneous stuff that maybe didn't need to happen, and I do feel like they did it as long as they did, in spite of like having a promo or something prior to it, another promo somewhere in there. I did, as I said before, I did really enjoy seeing the fact that like I knew how this fight was supposed to end. Otherwise, it logically would not have made sense. Like logistics of Bayley winning wouldn't have come together in my head. The fact that they kind of made me believe that, oh, maybe she actually could win this.
Yeah,
I appreciated that much. At the very least, that was something that I thought was impressive because I found myself doubting myself, even though, again, the logistics were cut and dry that this wouldn't have worked if Bayley won.
mm-hmm. And also, one reason I liked this fight less was just because Asuka was not really Asuka in this fight. She was basically a punching bag for 80% of the fight. It wasn't until the end when she started like being who she was, but even then she wasn't on the level she was when she was fighting Charlotte Flair, when she was fighting Nia Jax. She felt just like just not all there.
But she still wins, and I think it was almost good for her to not feel like she was all there because we've kind of got this like slightly weaker image of Asuka in our heads going into Extreme Rules, which, as Tom Phillips likes to say, it's a week from this coming Sunday, which means technically it's 2 weeks because it's Monday. All right, Tom. We have entered the golden 2 weeks of wrestling prior and after to a pay-per-view, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to see Asuka in this like slightly weaker position because now we're going into this marathon towards Extreme Rules. Like, oh, Asuka kind of like looked a little crappy out there last night or like last week. Who's to say that she's gonna do anything better on 19th?
Yeah.
I think
there's still another match where she's against Bayley and Sasha, so that will really be the judge of what Asuka we see at Extreme Rules. That's not for a title, is it?
That's just a tag team match. I think I like to kind of like combine all of the memories together going into a pay-per-view. It's like, oh well, this person lost twice to their opponent, but then like won these few times and under these circumstances, and that I think this is going to happen. So, I have some faith still. I think she looked kind of crummy tonight for a good reason.
Yeah. And we might get the green mist at Extreme Rules too.
She's allowed to spit in people's faces. Who's to say? In spite of the coronavirus, we're going to have people spitting in each other's faces and eye gouging. Remember when the CDC told you to stay away from others and not touch your face? Well, no geese.
And whatever Dolph has planned for Drew.
Right now, I'm broken about
Cut
this.
your fingers off.
You have to fight without hands! Haha! No, that doesn't mean they'll be cuffed behind your back. Alright. That's we've been here for about an hour and a half now. let's jump into our promo of the night. I know what mine is. Mine's easy. I don't really have to think about it, but I'd love for you to think about it.
So, for those who aren't aware, those who are watching for the first time, every episode of the podcast, we pick our best of the night, the promo, the fighter, and the fight, as you can see on the stream. So, with that said, yeah, just because we got a new follower, so also thank you, Clyde Nice Guy, for following.
New follower. Also, thank you to everyone that's followed our Twitter. You guys are really awesome. We really appreciate it. I don't know if you guys actually watch the stream, but like, it's always nice when we see a new follower on the Twitter. It makes my heart hurt a little bit.
And if you're not following the
Twitter,
we
follow you back.
If you're not following the Twitter, follow at the Pinfall Cast. Anyway, promo of the night. So tonight was a good night for promos, I'm gonna say, because you had the Drew, Dolph, and Heath moment in the beginning, which almost made me cry. I think it almost made you cry. Definitely made Heath cry.
It made Drew cry too.
Bayley and Sasha interview, which was, Alistair. Okay, the Alistair promo. We start on him just underneath a girder with a Rey Mysterio mask on. You don't get a better cold open than that, I'll say. You had the Viking Raiders Big Show promo, the KO show, which that's a contender for the promo of the night. Mostly for Kevin just throwing the chairs out of the ring, just being like, I know, I'm just gonna have to get rid of these. Oh, they're broken. Okay. Then you had the Bobby and MVP interview. You had them presenting the new belt, which was a great moment because the new belt looks great. You had the Andrade, Angel, Zelina, and Ric Flair promo where Randy Orton comes in, which
Andy Orton.
Then you had the Kyrie and Asuka interview. Then you had the Iconics promo with Ruby, which is a top contender just because they pan over to Cedric and MVP just sitting there watching the whole time. And then another top contender, Randy and Ric Flair, where R-Truth runs in. Thinks there's two Tozawas again. And then you had the Bayley and Sasha interview. Now, I mean, look, I listed a ton of top contenders, but really, there's one. We all know there's only one. And that is our opener for the night. Drew McIntyre re-encountering his buddy, Heath Slater.
Yeah. That's absolutely my promo of the night. There's no question about it. A encapsulated, like, what has it been? Fired in 2015. Encapsulated, like, 5-year-long friendship, if not longer, because he got fired in 2015. But prior to that, he was still in 3MB. For them to take all of that history and sum it up in such an emotionally wrenching, like, back and forth, there's nothing I can say. It was a wonderful promo. It was a great way to kick off the night. It was a great way to speak to Elf's character, first of all, and that he was willing to use his oldest friend as a pawn. And then it spoke to Drew's character that he was like, fine, I'll Claymore kick this guy because he wants to fight me. I'll fight whoever wants to fight me. It doesn't matter. But then come to his friend's defense after doing so. It was sort of like a very sweet and brief homage to Drew's history with WWE. And I think that was wonderful. I'm glad we got to see it. I'm glad we got to see Heath again. I'm glad that Heath is like still functioning. That was absolutely the promo of the night. There's almost no question about it. Actually, there is literally no question about it. There's not almost.
And I just want to say that John Cena spoke about Heath Slater and how his characters that were his storylines are always given to him by creative, as he said, were always dog shit. But he always credited Heath as taking an inch and making it into a mile. That he was always able to make the most out of whatever storyline he's given.
And adding to that, there's multiple interviews with Drew where he kind of talks about how like there's no reason to cry about basically like storyline creative gives you. If you blame that for your loss, it's on you. You need to make the most of whether it's a win or a loss, no matter what. You've got to make the most of it. The only person you have to blame is yourself if you don't get one over on the fans at the very least. And I think that just between what you just said about Heath, between what Drew said about his view of the storylines, and between I'm sure Jinder's the same way. It's nice to see that these guys got to get back together at least for a little bit. I'm hoping that we see more of Drew. More of Drew. I'm hoping that we see more of Heath. Drew, I guess.
Hope that Drew doesn't retire.
I hope Drew comes back next week. He's a Gemini. They literally won't be able to get rid of him.
Anyway, shall we move on to Fighter of the Night?
It's Heath Slater.
Nobody took a kick like him.
Why don't you run us through it?
Thank you, Well-Rounded Tech, for following.
Love your well-rounded tech.
Well, let me go through all of the fights, and then I'll normally like to give my picks of each fight. So first you had Drew versus Heath. The only one who fought was Drew. It was a fight because they rung the bell and everything. He pinned him after all.
All right. While staring Dolph down, by the way.
Then you had Sasha versus Kairi. Kairi was my pick for that. She, this is her return since being decked by Nia Jax backstage. So it was really impressive seeing her, like doing amazing for her first time back. And then after that was Rey Mysterio, Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Rey Mysterio, my pick for that. Like, there's no other option. Rey Mysterio is incredible in the ring. Like, my God. The fact that how old is he? Like, he's in his 50s or something?
His 40s?
40s? But, like, the fact...
Let's see. Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, look it up real quick. I feel like he's in his 50s.
Okay.
55 or 40?
Okay.
45. Okay. But the fact that he is 45 and can still pull off all of these flying neck scissors all the time, that is amazing. The dude has incredible, like, acrobatics and physical strength and endurance. And he also just snapped a cord and wants Seth Rollins' eye now. But moving on, then you have Cedric and Ricochet versus MVP and Bobby. My pick was Ricochet for this. I felt like he was the most physically impressive out of all of them. But I mean, it wasn't a super impressive fight at all. So I can't really speak much about Ricochet. He just did a backflip off of Bobby Lashley's chest and pulled his weight a little bit. And then you had Big Show and Viking Raiders versus Andrade, Angel, and Randy. My pick was Randy. We didn't see much of him, but when we did, he shined. He was so fun to see, even when he had Angel Garza in like a chokehold against the wall. That was fun. Randy was like I said, he didn't get to fight much, but he was great to watch when we saw him. Then you had Ruby and Billie Kay. Billie Kay looked great, even if it was that short of a fight. We haven't seen much greatness from Iconics lately, but Billie Kay really looked great in this fight. There's this move they have, both her and Peyton do it. I don't know what it's called, but it's so fun to see. I think Peyton did a variation of it when she was fighting Liv. Or did she? No. When she was fighting Ruby, I think. But yeah, Billie was obviously the standout of that fight. Ruby was a punching bag. And then Bayley and Asuka. You're definitely going to disagree with me, but I thought Bayley was my pick for that fight. Just because this is the best I've ever seen of Bayley. Even though she lost, she just went all out. This fight was much more impressive than when she was fighting Alexa Bliss. Which any fight she had was more impressive than that. But it's rare to see a wrestler where they can mix decent wrestling with comedy and their storyline in too. And so that was just really impressive to see. But with all that said, my pick's Rey Mysterio. There was really no competition at all. Rey Mysterio is the most impressive man in almost all of wrestling. He is incredible.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. There was no one else that really stood out quite like Rey did. Especially now that Rey is back. And this was one of his first matches since his retirement, quote unquote, again.
A lot of quotes.
So, a lot of quotes. So I think it's obviously the best option. And stellar option at that, because it was, and as you said, maybe it's because he's like a little more compact, but he's 45 and he's been wrestling for like so much of his life. Again, the fact that he can like do anything right now is stunning. Then the fact that he can do anything and look good doing it, beyond me. Absolutely beyond me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my fight of the night. Before we jump into fight of the night, I do want to just say that I made the mistake of looking up WWE on Google just to see if there was any headlines that we should know about before we close out. And I think that tonight was maybe Heath Slater's actually goodbye night.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was released because of COVID. And he is technically under contract with a non-compete for 90 days. He was released April 15th, which if you do the math, ends July 15th. Is in 9 days. And he's been rumored to debut at Impact Wrestling on July 18th.
Well,
so when you consider the fact that he said, "I love you all, thank you, my friend, my brother, at Drew McIntyre, WWE," I think that may have been Heath's farewell. Especially considering
it's a weird farewell. It seemed like it was a welcome back.
I think it makes more sense as a farewell, considering the fact that the person who like helped him was the person that he spent a lot of his youth in the circuit with. There's a good article on Wrestling Inc. about it, and I think now that I realize that this might be his goodbye, it kind of makes it almost sadder. Oh, that was the bad news that I just discovered. He said that it was a nice closing of a chapter in an interview. So,
well,
hopefully he finds something else. Now that we're sad, let's talk about the fight of the night.
So
I'm gonna be crying over here.
Now the fight of the night is Drew versus Heath.
It has to be. What are the other options?
All right. So yeah, there's Drew versus Heath, which was a 5-second fight, which had the best lead-in of the night and the best send-off, but wasn't a fight. Then you had Sasha versus Kairi, which didn't have a good ending. I don't like when a fight DQs, unless it's well earned. This didn't really feel well earned. And I wasn't super impressed with either of the wrestlers. I mean, Kairi was great, but you compare her to the other wrestlers today, she was good. She was all right. And then Rey and Kevin Owens versus Seth and Murphy. This was an amazing fight. I love everything about this storyline. The lead-in was fantastic. The ending was fantastic when Aleister came out, and then Rey is just going full savage. And then the fight itself was super, super fun. And then Big Show and Viking Raiders. Oh no, Cedric and Ricochet versus MVP and Bobby. It was a very one-sided fight. Not impressive. There was no reason for it. We got a very similar fight last week. And you don't really know where it's going. And then Big Show and Viking Raiders versus Andrade and Angel and Randy Orton. Again, not super impressive. Kind of weird that Randy's stepping in this whole Andrade Angel Viking Raiders feud. And we didn't get to see Randy and Big Show, which might have made it the fight of the night. And then you have Ruby versus Billie Kay, which the only exciting thing was Ruby Riot's extensions coming out. And then you had Bayley versus Asuka, which, had it not been for Extreme Rules coming up in less than 2 weeks, this fight would have been a lot more exciting. There would have actually been stakes, whereas everyone knew Asuka would win just because Extreme Rules and the title fight's coming up. So, I mean, you can just tell which fight did I speak the most highly of. It's obviously Rey Mysterio and Kevin Owens versus Seth, Rollins, and Buddy Murphy. Just kidding. It's R-Truth versus the Ninjas backstage.
Fool. Drew versus Heath, and you know it. Brother. Drew versus Heath versus Dolph. Drew coming back.
The one Claymore kick.
I'm sad. It was a successful one, though. I know it was absolutely Rey and Kevin Owens versus Seth and Buddy. First of all, because Kevin was only in there for like a minute, but like Kevin did enough. The fact that we got to see Buddy just absolutely brutalized.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the weird finisher with I wanting to take someone's eye. Which, you know, I guess retribution is retribution. But maybe not like that.
I just love seeing Kevin Owens' face. Just completely mortified.
He's like, oh no. No, maybe not, Rey. Who's to say? You know, maybe Rey's gonna be blinded come Extreme Rules. Maybe Seth Rollins is gonna wear an eye patch and become the Monday Night Pirate. There's no telling anymore. Everything is a mess. All is a mess, but it's a mess I enjoy watching at the very least. That has to be the fight of the night. I sort of hate when we have to do fighter of the night and fight of the night being from the same fight, but like
there's no contest.
There isn't.
Except
story.
Except the fight between Ruby Riott and her extensions. And soon to be Ruby Riott versus her hairdresser.
Yeah, actually, no, I think she deserves it at this point after what happened tonight. But yeah, the Rey, Kevin Owens, Seth, Buddy fight was a mix of story and artistry and a twist I didn't necessarily want to see. And Aleister coming out concussed. So it was the full package right there. But yeah, that's everything. Still sad about Heath Slater. I'm gonna try to not be sad. Also, Blister Watch 2020.
Oh no, don't
Blister
show it
has
again.
now. I'm not gonna bring it that close to the camera. My blister has now. I learned that it is a second-degree burn. It has become disgustingly gross, and I just wish it would come off my finger.
I
I used to be
apologize.
a pretty lady.
I apologize to anyone whose first podcast this is.
Yes, thank you to everyone that's watching. I burned myself while curling my hair for this show, which is why I'm showing everyone what it looks like now, because it's not curled now. This is last week.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow the... Oh, sorry.
We haven't closed out yet.
Oh, sorry.
Please. So.
If you want to follow us on Twitter...
we will be back coming Wednesday for the second installment of the Great American Bash. There's a lot to be said about that. It won't be said right now. We probably won't see Dexter Lumis, so what's the point? But we will be back this coming Wednesday, not next Wednesday. Also next Wednesday, but this coming Wednesday is more important. NXT, American Bash. We'll be here. Be here for the rest of the week. I don't know what else to say. I'm excited. We have entered the golden 2 weeks of pay-per-view because now we have wrestling Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have something to do every other night. I hope everyone is just as excited as I am.
Please follow us on Twitter. The podcast Twitter is at the Pinfall Cast, at the Pinfall Cast. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is at the Mark Cameron, MARC Cameron. Yeah, I changed it to match my new brand, which I'll get to in a second. If you want to follow Liz, her Twitter handle is at Eliza Elaine 2323.
Make fun jokes.
And comments on wrestling.
Yeah.
And if you want to follow my Twitch, it's at Mark Cameron, MARC Cameron. If you like wrestling and you like Pokemon, I combine them both in a very interesting new brand where the first installment will be coming tomorrow. If my computer decides to work for a day and decides on the one day I want to do something, it doesn't crash. I
also have a new shirt for NXT. It's from $10 brand. I'll be wearing this Wednesday. It's perfect because all the designs are in the top third, so I can tuck it into my shorts and no one's gonna know because it's a big shirt for a unisex small. I'm excited. Thank you, Mr. Finn Balor, for making nice shirts.
And thank you for watching this podcast.
Thank you for sitting through all of this. It's really impressive. You did a great job, whoever you are.
Please follow if you enjoyed so you can stay in tune with all of our future podcasts.
If you didn't enjoy but you are following, thank you for continuing to follow. Please don't unfollow.
Yeah. All right. We will see you on Wednesday.
Homage.
Have a good night, everybody.